reach the roots of your soul, you must be willing to walk through fire and shadow, and what you find there will not be a lesson. It will be a memory. And that memory opens a gate older than time. A gate your soul carved in dreams you've long forgotten, but the symbols remain, waiting. Before every great journey, there are signs, symbols carved into the soul, waiting to be remembered. Archetypes are not inventions of the mind. They are the ancient patterns of existence itself, forces that shape our dreams, our fears, our destinies. They are the hidden language your soul has always spoken, even when the mind forgot. In this crossing, you will meet the ancient figures that live within you. The shadow, the face you turned away from. The persona, the mask you wore to survive. The collective unconscious, the river of forgotten ancestors moving through your blood. And if you dare to descend deep enough, you will awaken the self, the sovereign fire that no world can tame. Carl Jung named these forces, but you will live them. Already the first drumbeat stirs beneath your ribs. Already the river remembers your name. This is not a lesson. This is a remembrance. Breathe now. Feel the soil crack open beneath your feet. The journey is already calling you by your oldest name. Step forward. Step forward, traveler. The mountains await you. The rivers remember you. The ocean knows your true name. The journey has already begun. You were born beneath a sky of mirrors, each one reflecting not who you are, but who the world needed you to be. You dreamed not your own dreams, but those borrowed from the sleeping world. For a time, it was enough. You lived inside the soft coma of collective myths. You drank the waters of approval. You wrapped yourself in roles stitched by invisible hands. But sometimes, in the spaces between laughter, you heard it. A strange hunger, an ache too wild to name. A crack appeared in the mirror. A voice, not from outside, but from the hidden deep, whispered, "There is more." You tried to stitch the mirror shut. You tried to run faster, climb higher, smile brighter. But the hunger grew, and with it, the questions you were told not to ask. Jung once wrote, and we must hear it now, "The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents." You began to see it. The dreams you carried were hand-me-downs. The fears you bore were not born in your own bones. The road you followed was paved by those who forgot themselves long ago. And so, the first death arrived. The death of certainty. The death of the mask. The death of the dream you did not choose. You had not yet met your shadow. You had not yet fallen into the abyss. You had not yet faced the hunger that would demand everything false to burn. But the slumber had ended, and the journey had begun. You stepped forward, not because you were brave, but because the fire inside your chest grew too large to contain. If there is a fire stirring in you now, stay. This path is for you. Ahead, something waits. Something that wears your face, but knows your hidden sins. It waits in the dark corners you have not yet dared to touch. Prepare yourself. The shadow is coming. The mirror cracked. The voice grew louder. The fire you thought you could tame roared through the hollow chambers of your life. You did not find the shadow. The shadow found you. It rose not as a demon, but as grief you could not rationalize, as rage you could not suppress, as betrayals you thought you had deserved. It wore your face. At first, you fought it. You blamed the world, the gods, the others. You built new illusions from old fears, patching the cracks with busyness, laughter, ambition. But the shadow was patient. It would not be bought off with excuses. It whispered truths you had buried in your marrow. You are not only the wounded, you are also the wounder. You are not only the dreamer, you are also the destroyer. Carl Jung reminds us, especially in moments like this, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. You collapsed under the weight of it. No longer the innocent child, no longer the righteous victim. Only a soul naked before its own forgotten wilderness. You wept at the foot of your own grave, not because you were dead, but because you were finally real. The shadow twin knelt beside you, not as enemy, but as the brother, the sister, the lover you had abandoned in yourself. The anger you hated was your unclaimed strength. The envy you denied was your map to unlived longing. The hatred you feared was your armor, forged from sacred wounds. And let this one echo for a moment, because this isn't just philosophy, it's survival. Carl Jung once wrote, "I must also have a dark side if I am to be whole." He wasn't warning you. He was welcoming you back to your truth. You embraced it, trembling. You held the ugly, snarling parts of yourself, not to fix them, not to shame them, but to witness them into being. And for a moment, one aching, sacred moment, you realized the darkness was never against you. It was a part of you that simply refused to die unseen. You are not broken because you carry darkness. You are broken when you pretend you do not. If you have ever stared into the mirror and seen a stranger, write "I remember" below. Let the forgetting end here. But the shadow was only the first threshold. Beyond it, a river of ancient voices flowed, the songs, the screams, the dreams of all who came before you. And that river was rising. You would have to cross it, or be consumed. You survived the shadow, but survival was not enough, because beyond the narrow hallways of your own wounds, there is a river older than blood, a current not of water, but of memory. You stepped into it unknowingly, a foot into a dream that was not yours, a hand brushing against griefs that carried the scent of forgotten wars, of broken promises, of gods whose names have turned to dust. You were never alone. You were stitched together from the sorrows and triumphs of 1,000 generations, woven from myths you never chose, but still bleed through your skin. And Jung tells us, in language only the soul can understand, the collective unconscious is a part of the psyche, which can be directly distinguished from the personal unconscious by the fact that it does not derive from personal experience, but is innate. The river of echoes did not ask your permission to flood your soul. Every instinct you could not explain, every fear that gripped you in dreams, every hunger that rose like a wave in your chest, they were the fingerprints of the ancient ones, still moving through you like ghost tides. At first, you tried to make sense of it. You looked for reasons, for histories, for logic. But the river does not answer questions. It only sings. You heard the mothers weeping for sons, lost to senseless wars. You felt the terror of the hunted, the shame of the shamed, the desperate prayers of forgotten ancestors who clutched their children against the storms of cruelty. And for a terrible moment, you realized you are not suffering only your own pain. You are carrying a lineage. The dreams you fear to chase, the ones they dared not name, the love you ache for, the love they were forbidden to touch, the rage you suppress, the battle they were not allowed to fight. Carl Jung once said something that cuts sharper when you feel the past moving through your blood. The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. You stumbled through the river, sometimes drowning in it, sometimes letting it carry you toward shores unseen. And there, amid the flood of voices, you found something else. A song. Soft. Ancient. Yours. The seed planted at the beginning began to pulse again. Faint, but defiant. You realized you are not only an heir to their sorrow, you are an heir to their unfinished hopes. You are the bridge they could not build. You are the breath they could not draw. You are the memory they prayed would not die. You are not just the consequence of history. You are the rebellion against it. If the river is rising in you, honor it. Let it be seen. But the river was only the beginning. Ahead stretched the desert, the endless sands of silence, where no echoes could save you. You would soon walk alone, with nothing but the bones of your own becoming to guide you. And there, in the sacred stillness, you would either break or be born. There are moments when the road splits, when you know that you are no longer who you were, and not yet who you will become. If you have felt that moment stirring beneath your skin, mark it. Honor it. Subscribe now, not to follow, but to remember. Leave a sign, a word, a breath, so that when you forget, as we all do, you will have a place to return to. The river faded behind you. The songs of the ancestors grew faint, like the last echoes of a dream. And before you stretched only silence. The desert, an endless expanse of nothingness. No maps, no companions, no signs carved into the sand. Just you, and the terrible truth that no one could walk this next part for you. At first, you called out. You begged for voices, for signs, for gods to answer. None came, because the silence itself was the answer. And so, we remember Jung's sacred warning. Only in a detached soul, disengaged from all things, can the eternal being build its temple. You stumbled forward, dragging behind you the broken relics of old identities, the masks burned in the trial of mirrors, the bones of dreams inherited but unlived. The sun blistered your illusions. The nights froze your vanities. There is a loneliness no one teaches you how to survive. The loneliness of finally meeting yourself. No distractions, no applause, no borrowed dreams to hide behind. Just the raw, trembling creature you have always been. Barefoot, breathing, burning. The hermit seeker within you rose now, not to rescue you, but to witness your survival. In the beginning, you fought it. You built sandcastles of business and called them cities. You sang songs of memory to the empty sky. But the desert is patient. It will outlast every lie you try to resurrect. And so you began, slowly, painfully, to listen. You listened to the ache between heartbeats. You listened to the tiny cracking sounds as your old self shattered piece by piece. You listened to the soft breath of a soul being born from ash. Close your eyes now. Breathe into the hollow spaces inside you. Do not fear the emptiness. It is not your enemy. It is your womb. In the endless silence, you remembered something the world tried to make you forget. You do not exist to entertain. You do not exist to obey. You do not exist to survive. You exist to burn, to sing, to become. Carl Jung once said, with the kind of truth that only lands after suffering, loneliness is the way by which destiny endeavors to lead man to himself. You began to see beauty where you once saw only wasteland. A single battered flower, clawing its way through cracked soil. A lone bird slicing through the blistering sky. The rhythm of your own blood, steady as a war drum, whispering, still alive, still alive, still alive. And then, just as the desert threatened to erase you entirely, you felt it. The pull of something deeper, darker, more necessary than survival. The trial of mirrors was awakening. You would have to face yourself again, but this time, not the masks. This time, the false dreams, the false loves, the false wars. You would have to decide, what will you carry into the new world, and what must be buried here, beneath the burning sands. Not everything you love was meant to survive the becoming. If you have ever stood in the silence and felt the fire of your real self flicker alive, leave a sign below. Let the others know. You walked this desert too. The desert would not break you, but it would prepare you, because ahead, the final confrontation awaited, the trial of mirrors, where not even the soul's reflection would be spared. The desert stripped you bare, but the mirrors would strip you to the bone. They rose around you like sentinels, tall, cold, merciless. Each one reflecting not the you that others praised, not the you performed, but the hidden architecture of your life, the silent compromises, the tiny betrayals, the dreams you traded for approval, the truths you abandoned to be loved. You stepped before the first mirror, and it showed you the performer, the you who smiled while your heart withered, who said yes while your soul screamed no. You wept, and the mirror did not flinch. You stepped before the second mirror, and it showed you the pleaser, the you who bent your spine to carry the broken dreams of others, the you who thought sacrifice was love and silence was loyalty. You raged, and the mirror did not shatter. You stepped before the third mirror, and it showed you the mask of strength, the you who bore burdens not meant for your shoulders, the you who mistook invulnerability for courage. You screamed, and the mirrors only multiplied, and in that moment, Jung's voice cuts through like a blade. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. You wanted to run. You wanted to smash the reflections. You wanted to close your eyes and call it healing. But deep down, you knew. True healing does not come from running. True healing comes from seeing, without flinching. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. You cannot become who you are by clinging to who you were. If you have ever worn a mask so long, you forgot your own face, mark this moment. Write, I remember, below. Let the remembrance begin here. You faced the performer. You faced the pleaser. You faced the false strength. And slowly, painfully, you stripped them from your skin. You bled memory. You bled shame. You bled the sweet poisons you once called love. And beneath it all, you found a face you barely recognized, and yet had always known. The original face. The one you had before the world told you who you had to be. And then Jung returns, soft but thunderous. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You wept again, not with sorrow, but with awe. Because now you saw. You were never the masks. You were the one who survived them. You were never the reflection. You were the light behind the mirror. You gathered the broken shards of your old selves, not to mourn them, but to honor them. They had carried you as far as they could. Now, it was time to walk without armor. Naked, radiant, terrifyingly real. But the mirrors were not the final trial. There was still the descent to come, the place where the soul is undone, the place where you must die to be reborn. The abyss was opening its mouth, and you would have to leap, without guarantee, without map, without wings, only faith, and the memory of the fire inside your bones. You thought you had been broken before. You thought you had drowned in the river, burned in the desert, shattered in the mirrors. But none of that was death. This was death. The abyss did not whisper. It did not rage. It simply opened. A mouth of pure silence, wider than fear, deeper than time. There was no path here, no ladder, no guiding star, only the fall. And so you fell, faster than thought, faster than grief, through memories you had never lived, through futures you would never see. You plummeted past all names, all faces, all stories, until even your own voice abandoned you. And yet Jung reminds us, in all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. There is a darkness deeper than sorrow, a silence colder than loneliness, a forgetting so vast it unravels the very bones of your becoming. You fell into it. You begged. You raged. You bargained. But there was no God waiting to catch you. There was only the terrible truth. You were not falling through the abyss. You were falling back into yourself. You were dying to the need to be someone. You were dying to the need to be understood. You were dying to the belief that you must be anything other than what you are. And in that death, something small, trembling, indestructible, survived. The broken alchemist found you there, not as a savior, but as a witness. A figure stitched together from every grief you ever carried, every betrayal you ever suffered, every lie you ever told yourself to survive. It knelt beside you and whispered, "Die well." Not with despair, not with bitterness, but with faith. Faith that beyond the burning, something sacred would remain. The soul must die in its old form before it can rise in its true one. You let go. You let go of the names, the masks, the myths, the illusions. You let go even of the dream of who you thought you should become. And there, in the terrible beauty of absolute surrender, you felt it. Not a blinding light, not a triumphant resurrection, a pulse, steady, silent, sacred, the original fire. Carl Jung once whispered to those brave enough to look inward, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." You were not born to be a reflection of anyone else's dreams. You were not born to be a monument to anyone else's fears. You were born to carry the fire that no world could define. If you have ever died and lived again inside your own chest, mark this place below. Let the fire in you find the fire in us. You rose, not with the arrogance of the untouched, but with the humility of the twice born. You rose carrying your own ashes as offerings. You rose wrapped in the silence of mysteries you would never again explain away. And ahead, through the torn veil of everything you had been, you glimpsed it. Home. Not the place you were born, the place you were always meant to become. You rose from the ashes not polished, not perfect, not untouchable. You rose tender. You rose weathered. You rose human. The sovereign child stirred inside you now. Not a child of naivety, but a child of wonder, reborn through the furnace of wisdom. You did not forget your wounds. You wove them into tapestries. You did not deny your mistakes. You turned them into maps. You did not bury your grief. You sang it into beauty. Jung once said something that haunts those who try to fix what must be outgrown. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. You returned to the world, carrying the silence of the abyss within you. You returned, carrying a song only you could sing. You returned not looking for approval, but offering truth. And not everyone could meet you there. Some still dream in the shallow waters. Some still hide behind mirrors. You loved them anyway, but you no longer betrayed yourself to be loved. You knew now. Real love does not demand your distortion. Real love calls forth your original form. And then Jung said it plainly, as if waiting for you to arrive at this very knowing. Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling. You did not erase the child inside you. You walked hand in hand with them. You did not silence the elder inside you. You listened with reverence. You lived inside paradox, both innocent and ancient, both scarred and sanctified. You became a living bridge between the dust and the stars. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become undeniable. You no longer sought to arrive at a final place. The journey itself became the home. Every breath a threshold. Every choice a birth. Every sorrow a carving deeper into the wood of your soul, where the song of your becoming could echo clearer, richer, more true. You remembered the fire planted at the beginning. You remembered the seed you carried through the abyss. You remembered the true face behind all masks. You remembered, and you became. If you feel yourself stepping into your own original skin again, mark this final crossing below. You are not alone. And then, Jung gave us one last truth, one that now burns with peace instead of fear. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. You accepted yourself now, not as an idea, but as a breathing, breaking, burning testament to existence itself. You were never meant to live as a half-ghost in someone else's story. You were meant to blaze. You were meant to bleed brilliance into a world terrified of remembering itself. And now, you do. You are the river. You are the storm. You are the sacred ash and the stubborn bloom. You are the one who crossed the abyss and built a home from the dust. Welcome back, traveler. The world has been waiting for you, and now it can finally begin. This journey does not end here. It is only just beginning. The soul that remembers itself will always be called to new rivers, new deserts, new deaths, new births. But you will walk them differently now, not as a seeker trying to be saved, but as a sovereign flame, carrying the sacred memory of your original becoming. Keep burning, keep becoming, and when you are lost, return here. This place will remember you, even when you forget yourself. If this journey stirred something sleeping inside you, if the echoes you heard felt like the memory of a home you have not yet fully found, then walk with us. Stay close to this place. Here, we remember together. Here we fall and rise and fall again, together. Subscribe. Join the circle of those who choose to awaken. Leave a sign in the comments, a word, a flame, a memory, something to mark the place where your becoming began. The road ahead is long, but you do not have to walk it alone anymore. Until we meet again, keep burning, keep becoming.